Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be once again talking about another potential severe weather outbreak. I'm going to be talking about the next upcoming big severe weather event. This one could potentially be a tornado outbreak, but I'm not very confident in the potential for tornadoes. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the model guidance later on in this video. But before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Also be sure to follow us on Twitter and join our Facebook group. That's going to be in the pinned comment down below. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you prefer tea or coffee? Which one's actually better? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll pick one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, let's get into this video. And first things first, we're looking at our day 4 probability outlook, and this is the best we're going to get at day 4. This does not seem as major as any of our severe weather outbreaks actually that we've had in the past weeks. I think that this one might be one of the more minor ones, but we're going to have to see how this one plays out. Right now we have a 15% area in that yellow. We see Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City in there, Little Rock. We see a lot of areas in that yellow region, and that's probably going to end up being a slight risk with an enhanced risk in the middle as well. So we're really going to have to watch this one closely because it could at least be a really big severe weather day for a lot of these yellow regions with the potential for tornadoes. I don't want to downplay that, but definitely I am very skeptical about the potential there. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. Now we're about to move on, and we're going to move right into the model guidance, and we're going to talk about that simulated radar, the convective available potential energy, and also talk about that tornado potential. Alright, so let's get right into that. You can see our CAPE by about 2 p.m. on Tuesday, April 28th. That's the day we're actually eyeballing here, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that yet. In the yellow, we have 2,000 CAPE, which is definitely sufficient. You only need about 1,000 for severe weather to develop. So in those green bluish areas, we definitely have 1,000. But in the yellows, we have 2,000. And in those red shades down there for mostly Texas, but also a little bit of Oklahoma, we have 3,000 to 4,000 CAPE. That's going to be very sufficient for some major severe weather implications out here in more of the central United States. It's been interesting to watch most of the severe weather actually trend westward and westward and westward, where now we're starting to see more of Texas and Oklahoma get involved. I had a lot of people asking me, why is all the severe weather in the Dixie Alley and not really over in the classic areas like Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas? I'm sure you guys aren't asking that anymore because it's actually pretty much started to get a lot more active out there westward. Now let's move it all the way to about 8 p.m. and you can see it actually increases. We see those reds still all around, but we see purple start to develop, which is 4,000 to 5,000 CAPE, again, especially for Texas. So I think this could be mostly a Texas severe weather day. Dallas is going to have to watch out for some pretty potent thunderstorms, it appears. Now we're about to move on, and what we're going to do is we're going to take it all the way to simulated radar so we can look at what the actual radar is going to look like as we go through all the hours. Now, here we are at about 8 p.m. and you can see that the yellows and oranges are indicating areas of thunderstorms. We're using the GFS here because it's a moderate outlook. We can't look at the short range models yet because they don't go out this far. So that's why it's so low resolution. But rest assured, this is probably in the form of some pretty potent thunderstorms for Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. Also up for Missouri. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Usually it looks a little bit different than the day 4 outlook does. So this might expand to more areas as we get closer and closer and closer. By tomorrow, we'll already have a much better idea of actually what we're expecting to see with this event. Now let's go ahead and take that simulated radar all the way to 2 a.m. on Wednesday, April 29th, and you can see that the thunderstorms actually dig further south and further east. We're going to see areas like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky maybe even get involved again. I think that yellow area was definitely pretty small considering the vast amount of areas that look to potentially see severe weather on the 28th through the 29th. So I think that we could see this be expanded much further north for areas like Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, even further east and south like Arkansas and Mississippi could get involved. And also we could see this severe weather risk linger into the next day. The potential is definitely much lower than it is on the 28th through the night of the 29th. But I definitely could see this one extending a little bit into the next coming days and into the Dixie Alley, but this doesn't look to take the same track as those other ones that we had for the past couple of weeks that really impacted the Deep South. This one doesn't seem like one of those. I think this is mostly going to be an impactful system for Texas, Oklahoma, also look for the potential in Mississippi, Arkansas, maybe even Louisiana, up through Missouri, and even Tennessee and Kentucky could see some severe weather as well. Possibly more areas as we get closer, but that's kind of my initial thoughts on that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're actually going to move on to where we look at our bulk shear, which is going to give us a lot of an insider look at what the potential is for tornadoes as we look at this event. Now, like I said before earlier in the video, I'm very skeptical if we're actually going to have a high potential for tornadoes on the 28th through the 29th. This does not appear like our other systems did, where we had very high bulk shear, very high significant tornado parameter. This one's quite marginal as of right now with the bulk shear. We see pinks and blues indicating areas with moderate chance for tornadoes. I'm sure we will have tornadoes, but just not like the 10 to 20, 30 tornadoes that we've seen in our past systems. As of right now, I will update you guys on this if this is looking like a tornado outbreak. Rest assured, I'm not just going to leave it at this. So if we do see a higher potential for tornadoes, I will definitely let you guys know of that, because I definitely don't want to let that go informed. But we do have pinks and reds. Well, the reds are up above where our storms are. That's the problem. The reds come in after the precipitation moves out, so that's why we don't really have that high bulk shear moving into where we have the storms. This is by 2 a.m. and this is when the storms were located more over Texas and the northeastern areas in Texas and more Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi. So I think those deeper blues, lighter pinks is more where we see our storms lined up, which is kind of a low to moderate bulk shear. Again, gonna let there be potential for some tornadoes, just not these EF3s and aboves, and very widespread tornadoes. I think we will have a minimal amount and probably minimal intensity as well. Again, I will update you guys on that, and don't take this lightly just because I'm saying this. There still could be major tornadoes. It's just not looking as likely as our previous systems. All right, and here's another interesting tool here. This is called our Supercell composite. This is kind of a one of those ones that you have to take with a grain of salt, but it's quite minimal. Usually in our previous tornado outbreaks, we would see reds and pinks showing up. We only see the greens and the yellows, and they're pretty far south of our actual thunderstorms anyway. So I think that our supercell potential and tornado potential is going to be pretty limited, and it would be mostly spin-up tornadoes if we did see tornadoes. This is pretty much what I'm feeling for the 28th through the 29th. Again, if I'm wrong and I'm figuring that out in the coming days, I will definitely make an update on this video, so be on the lookout for that if that is the case. Now, I want to move on. We're about to move on, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at how this tornado season has gone, because I've mentioned that it is looking historic, and that earlier in the season, probably like January, February, I had mentioned I thought this tornado season would be historic, so I wanted to give you guys an update on how everything's looking compared to other years so far. All right, now, here is our pretty much a graph of how many tornadoes we've had so far this year. The green is average, the blue is below average, the pink is record low, the red is record high, and then that yellow line is actually pretty much above average, pretty well above average to this point. You can see our black line is actually above the yellow line. It's somewhere in between the red and the yellow line. So this isn't a record high tornado year yet. It obviously could easily become that just by having a few more tornado outbreaks. But it is definitely in the well above average tornado column. We have 377, and our average is more along the lines of maybe 250 or under. So we're well above average as far as tornadoes so far with 377. Let's take a look at another above average tornado year to compare side by side here, which is 2019 last season. And you can see that actually by this point we were only right around the yellow line, whereas this year we're much above that. So we're already on pace to have a much bigger tornado season than last year. Really what it would take to bring us back to near average tornadoes would be a slower May as far as tornadoes are concerned. May needs to be a big tornado season to really bring us near historic terms, and really it is possible that we have a bigger May, but it's also possible that we have a slower May. So May is going to be really what determines if we have a historic tornado season or not, but it's on pace to easily become a near historic, probably top 5 tornado season if it just stays active like it has. Now, also something I wanted to mention is if we look at this is 2019. You can see we had 43 U.S. fatalities through the entire season. And then let's take a look at 2020 so far. We already have 74. So, I mean, we're already we have more fatalities from tornadoes than we did all of last year. Very, very interesting to see that, and very unfortunate. These tornadoes have been very major and very impactful. Here's another graph. This is our confirmed tornado by EF rating, and this was 2019. You can see we only had 33 EF3s and we had 3 EF4s, and that was the most, intense tornadoes we had. In 2020, we only have 15 EF3s. Keep in mind, we're only at April 25th, but we've already had 5 EF4s, which is obviously more than 2019 had all year. So we're already seeing much more potent tornadoes as well. It's very, very interesting to see that, and very unfortunate that it's been such a major tornado season. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think this tornado season is going to be above average or below average? And Cooper Bennett said, at this rate we are going, this won't just be above average, it's going to be historic. And I think if you just listened to the past 3 minutes of this video, you already know that I agree with this comment. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.